I love playing board games with my family. We are all fairly competitive, and as long as we don't take it too seriously, we have a good time. So it might surprise you to find out that I took the game, Do You Really Know Your Family, a bit too seriously. Let me set this up. In this game, you choose a card. That card asks you a question like, what's my favorite shirt? Or what's been my favorite family vacation? You think of your answer and then see if your family members can guess what it is. Well, one night we were playing the game and my wife got this card.
What is something I'm embarrassed to admit that I like?
For several minutes, my son, daughter, and I tried to guess what she was thinking. I believe my wife then gave a hint, and one of my kids blurted out,
"Oh, is it that you like it when Dad goes to work every day?"
My wife answered yes. I was crushed and I got a bit defensive. Was my marriage on the rocks? My wife explained to me that when I didn't go to work, it threw off our family's groove. It messed up her normal routine and distracted my kids from doing schoolwork. The best way forward was for me to keep going to work and then for my wife and I to work as a team once I got home. Though it hurt, she was right. I do tease her a bit about it from time to time, but she was right. There are others who work well together, like all the time. Let me introduce you to Tiffany.
You can call me Tiff. Actually, a lot of people just call me Tiff.
And her husband, Tim. I'll let him pronounce their last name.
It's Sahaydak.
Tiff and Tim are head coach and associate head coach of the University of Central Florida's women's soccer squad. There are few married couples who coach together in college sports. So how did they end up as coaches for the same team? And how do they make this work relationship work?
Number one is we really like each other.
Welcome to BYU Radio's Big Stories, telling the amazing and inspiring tales from the Big 12 and beyond. I'm your host, Cleon Wall. Our episode, The Sahaydak Soccer Journey.
They just create a culture where the way that I can describe it is the way that you feel in your family.
Tiff Sahaydak has a corner office inside of the Roth Athletic Center on the University of Central Florida campus. She can look down on the UCF soccer and track complex. It kind of fits since she is the CEO of the Knights women's soccer program. She's the head coach, the big boss. On an organization chart, her husband Tim would be the next in command. What is it like being Tim's boss?
It's funny, we call each other boss. Yeah, I'm like, hey, boss, what are we doing today? But no, I'm not his boss.
I mean, I joke all the time. I call her boss because she is the boss of the household in a lot of ways.
That's where I mess with him. I do mess with him. I say, yeah, well, I'm boss at home. I'm boss here. Like, he just can't get away with me.
I rely on her for just the right amount of bossing, like I just need a little push sometimes. So I'm not ashamed to admit that or to say that. She's really good at motivating me to get after it when I need a little motivating.
It's like, I think we're both bosses. We're just bosses of different things. Depends on what we're talking about or who's in charge.
Would you expect anything else from a couple of coaches who want to emphasize teamwork? Now, how they ended up as UCF's soccer power couple started way before the two were introduced to each other, back when they played the beautiful game as children. Tiffany Roberts grew up in Northern California, the daughter of parents who immigrated to the United States from Canada and the Philippines.
I learned a lot from both of my parents. They really, really shaped me.
Her dad was all about hard work and persistence.
So, my brothers are, being jerks and they're not allowing me to play. Or my dad's like, if you can't handle it, then don't. He's like, you could go play with them, but you got to play with the same rules that they are. And if you can't, then go do something else, which taught me, persistence. It taught me how to lose, and then pick myself back up and keep going. So I think I became very persistent and determined because of that.
Which helped Tiff out when it came to organized sports, which her mother was not in favor of.
Being a female athlete didn't really align with Filipino culture. The women in Filipino culture are beautiful and should be in entertainment. So, piano and, but yeah, just being in the TV, like this is what the route that my mom wanted to go. So there's a little bit of conflict growing up because I didn't quite align with the Filipino culture, but thankfully she still supported me.
That was a plus because from a young age, Tiff knew she wanted to compete at the highest levels of sports.
So that was the 1984 Olympics. I was watching it on TV with my family, and I was watching Mary Lou Retton do gymnastics, Jackie Joyner-Kersee running. I was doing gymnastics the same time. I ran track and playing soccer. From that Olympics, I had told everybody that I was going to the Olympics. I drew pictures of myself with Olympic gold medals around my neck, starting at second grade. So I just knew that's really was like the dream, was like going to the Olympics.
Her hard work and determination paid off when she was 16. She didn't just make the varsity team at Carondelet High School. She was named to the U.S. women's national team.
I don't think I was ready for that, but I was thrown into the situation and my teammates helped me. I think that's where a lot of my value actually comes from. Like, I learned a lot from my parents, obviously, and I think a lot of my, core values came from my parents, but like during my national team experiences from my teammates, my older teammates, the veteran teammates that had amazing leadership, and then my coaches in that environment. They took care of me. The reason why I talk about like taking care of others is because I thought they did an incredible job when I was 16 coming on a team with women.
At age 18, she played in the 1995 Women's World Cup.
I literally was going from high school soccer games, and then I would all of a sudden fly somewhere in the U.S. and go to training camp. Being asked to perform at a world-class level was extremely difficult. And it was hard for me to have confidence. I felt like I was always like trying to keep my head above water in that environment. So I was always like stressed, as a player in that environment.
The United States finished third, but the following year, Tiff achieved her childhood dream. She won a gold medal at the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta.
When you're on that podium as a 19-year-old, I would imagine you're just like reflecting, wow, for me, it'd be like, wow, I actually made it.
Yeah, I know. I have goosebumps right now. You can see them. Like, I think about the moment, and it's unreal. Like, who says something and then all of a sudden it comes true is something that absurd. I worked extremely hard, and I had amazing support. It was crazy because that was actually the first women's Olympic soccer team in history. So we made history that year because it was the first time we had women's soccer in the Olympics.
Before Tiff won gold, she had joined the University of North Carolina's legendary soccer program. That's also where she met Tim.
We were both freshmen on the soccer teams, and I think we just had a lot of mutual friends, obviously, both being student athletes.
The first time I saw Tiff was we were in the student athletes at Carolina were doing some media training and how to do interviews. So oddly enough, here we are doing an interview many years later.
Tim was a good soccer player in his own right.
I grew up in a soccer family. So my dad was a soccer player. My grandfather was a soccer player. I have an older brother who was a college soccer player. So I think I knew early on if I wanted to fit into the family, I was probably going to be involved with soccer somehow. As a young player, I knew that I loved the game and I wanted to try and make a career out of it. When you're younger, you think the only way you can really be involved in soccer is as a professional athlete. So I really wanted to be a professional soccer player from a very early age.
North Carolina seemed like a natural stop in Tim's soccer journey.
Yeah, it was my dream. Partly why I chose to go to Carolina was there were a lot of really good players on the team, guys I respected who went on to become professionals. Who were national team players. So I wanted to kind of follow in their footsteps. Many of the players that go in to play at Carolina have, a pretty impressive background. I think Tiff's background being super impressive because she was already playing on the U.S. women's soccer background. So I knew who she was, but I didn't really know who she was, if that makes sense.
We weren't as close as freshmen because our dorms we weren't in the same dorm. But then sophomore year, our actual apartments were right next to each other. This podcast isn't long enough to really go through our whole college journey. But as far as the short version goes, we obviously had like an attraction when we were in college, but we actually weren't boyfriend and girlfriend really in college. We became close our sophomore year, but Tim actually left to play professionally, and I was staying in college, and so we decided, we weren't going to be committed to each other or be boyfriend and girlfriend when he was leaving.
That's right. Tim left UNC after his sophomore season to play for Major League Soccer's Columbus Crew. He was the youngest player in the Pro Sports League.
It's not as impressive as it sounds. I think I was 19. It was really only for like 6 months, like half a season, and then some younger guys came in. In the off season, I was sent to Sunderland in England to play there in the off season, and I ended up getting really sick. And I remember I think I called you from the hospital, maybe.
Yeah. Because back then, they're calling the landline. He's calling the landline, so it's like a roommate answers the phone. It's like, Tiff, Tim's on the phone, and he did not sound good. So I was a little bit concerned. I was like, I was thinking, I like this guy. I really was feeling like I missed him. So
The tandem soldiered on in their separate soccer careers. Tiff won national championships with the Tar Heels in 1996 and 1997. In 1999, she rejoined the U.S. national team as they readied themselves for the World Cup.
I knew it was meant to be because I remember being really excited knowing that her national team was training in Orlando preparing for the World Cup, and we were supposed to do our preseason in Florida, actually in Orlando, so I was very excited that I was going to get the opportunity to see her.
yeah, you actually called me because we were all thinking, oh, Columbus is coming down. We're going to both be training at the same venue. And so we were preparing for this since we hadn't seen each other in 2 years. And then he's like, I've got bad news, but then I think I have good news too. And he was like, I'm not coming down with Columbus, but I am moving to Miami. I just got traded. It was like, what? So we were making trips down from Orlando to Miami, back and forth. We call it young love when we were willing to make that drive.
Tiff and her teammates ended up beating China on penalty kicks in the World Cup final. Television cameras captured the moment she jumped on the backs of a few of her teammates in the celebration after Brandi Chastain knocked in the winning penalty goal.
I was not feeling 100% sure that I would make that final 20 roster. So I wasn't a starter at the time. And so I wasn't sure I was going to make that final roster, but thankfully I did. Soccer was selfish in the beginning, the first part of my career, because soccer was about me and how I can be the best that I can be so I can get to my goals and stand on that podium and have a gold medal.
That would all change in a few years in a most unexpected way. That's coming up next on the Big Stories podcast. Hey everyone, Cleon Wall here again. I'm inviting you to check out another BYU radio podcast. It's called Deep Blue. It's where you get the true stories of BYU athletes and coaches from their own mouths. It's hosted by my colleague, Jason Shepard. Last season, they had great interviews on Deep Blue, including Cougar quarterback Gary Bohannon. He teared up quite a bit talking about his son and what it means for his boy to watch his dad play. Also, BYU swimmer Jordan Tiffany, who quit swimming due to mental health struggles. He talked about how he was able to get back in the pool again. More great conversations for season number 3. BYU running back Hinkley Rapati will talk about his tear-filled journey to BYU. Former BYU tight end Chad Lewis, he's going to reflect back on that special 1996 BYU football season. And BYU basketball players Richie Saunders and Fuseni Traore discuss their unique relationship. It started way before they got to BYU. Please subscribe and listen to Deep Blue with Jason Shepard wherever you get podcasts, or check it out on the BYU Radio app. Welcome back to BYU Radio's Big Stories episode, the Sahaydak Soccer Journey.
I love UCF and I love Orlando.
UCF women's soccer coaches Tiffany and Tim Sahaydak know how to sell their university to potential recruits.
It's like a resort here. It's like paradise. Walking around here and you're in this, it's like your own little town.
But neither one thought they would take this career path.
I think even people asked, would you be a coach? I was like, no, I don't think I'm suited for a coach.
I didn't have an idea of becoming a coach early in my life.
Way before the dynamic duo arrived in this football fantasy land as coaches, the former UNC Tar Heels were playing the beautiful game apart from each other. Tiff was a member of the U.S. national team and eventually is a pro in a brand new league.
I reinvented myself in the women's professional league as a defensive center midfielder.
Meanwhile, Tim was ending his professional playing career in Major League Soccer and the United Soccer League. His first MLS contract allowed him to finish his degree at the University of North Carolina without paying a dime.
Once again, the timing worked out perfectly because Tiffany was playing in the newly formed women's professional league, the WUSA, and she was playing in in North Carolina, in Chapel Hill. I was going back to school and I was volunteering, coaching with the men's team, and then also making some money as a youth coach. And then Tiff got involved with youth coaching as well. So we were working for the same club, coaching kids. I think it was U14 players or something like that. So that's kind of how we got back in the same circle again. That's when we really started, I think, thinking about, getting married and taking things a lot more seriously. So I knew that I wanted to finish school before, or we both wanted to finish college before we, decided to move on to the next step.
We've both been in roles where we were starters, not starters, playing time, not playing time, losing games, right? And so it's like you go through a lot of emotions, and probably with some people, if their partner hasn't been a professional athlete or a student athlete or athlete, it's like they're there to like console you, but they don't really know how it feels. So I think it was nice because we understood exactly what each other was feeling in the moment of ups and downs.
The two eventually married in 2005.
Tim and I didn't know what to do with the next steps of our lives when our playing careers were over and we graduated finally. And we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? And we're like, well, let's coach club soccer.
She had played at a high level. I played at a high level. We were doing a lot to educate ourselves as coaches. So, yeah, we just really, I think, decided pretty early on that we wanted to do it together.
They started coaching teenage girls in the Bay Area of California and also started a soccer camp business.
And then out of the blue, the VCU AD called, and they were interested in having Tim and I on campus for an interview. And we were like, wait, what? We have no experience being in a college environment except for being student athletes. There's a big difference.
It was so odd and serendipitous, but they had a husband and wife coaching duo there before us.
And then we just got the job without any experience.
Virginia Commonwealth hired them as co-head coaches. This could have been a disaster. But the more Tiff and Tim worked with each other, they discovered they could coexist as a couple and as coaches.
He's a really patient guy who's super loving. And I think everyone has a lot of respect for him because he's not like this emotional guy who's up and down. And
Tiff is extremely charismatic. I have kind of social anxiety, so I'm lucky to be with someone like her because I can just kind of hang on, and she just kind of takes over a room.
He's always trying to educate himself, so I love it because he's constantly educating me on new things that he's learned.
I'm usually the strategy guy behind the scenes. Tiff likes to be out in front of the team. She's really a relationship person. She thrives on talking with the players every day and having them in their in her office. And so not that I'm not comfortable doing that.
So we're a really good team because our strengths are different, our weaknesses are different, but then our values are the same.
Them separate as people in the soccer industry would be very successful without each other.
This is UCF soccer captain Mia Asenjo.
I think that them together, it's almost like a superpower. Like them together, it's unreal. It's something that is very hard to explain, but you get it once you experience it.
Which brings us back to how Tim and Tiff ended up in Orlando. After 6 years of working as co-head coaches at VCU, Tiff was contacted by Knight's head coach, Amanda Cromwell.
She did call me and say, hey, I'm jumping, I'm going to a different job, and UCF's been a great job, and I think you would be a really good candidate for this job, you and Tim. So I'm going to put your name, forward along with some other teammates of ours.
Tiff and Amanda had played on the U.S. women's national team together. Tiffany ended up as one of the final candidates for the head coaching position, but she alone would interview for the job. No co-head coaches at UCF.
They had a female head coach already, and the candidates that were that my predecessor was putting forward were all female candidates.
Again, this could have been disastrous to their relationship. but they had already worked this out naturally.
I think at VCU, we were co-head coaches in titles. We pretty much operate the same way here, even though our titles are different. But yeah, I feel like our roles are somewhat the same.
I think he understands that he would want a woman in this position for the female student athletes. And that's what he would want for his daughters.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I have absolutely no problem taking a step back and really helping her to be the best head coach that she can be, because we just both understand how important it is to have strong female role models and leaders in sports.
Tiff seemed like a great candidate, but she was a bit nervous about the interview.
That's when Tim and I couldn't be a team anymore. Like, I had to go do it on my own for us. And he's like my security blanket. So the fact that I had to leave, obviously we prepped together and everything as if he was going to be sitting right next to me in the room. But I did do that one all on my own. I did the interview there. And then I hopped back on a plane, came back to Richmond, and he was like, how did it go? So it was nerve-wracking not having him there. I was like one of the first times where I had to really go do that on my own. And, but obviously it went well, because now we've been here for 11 years. This role gives me an opportunity to inspire young women. I want them to be able to see a female in a leadership role that can make decisions, that can make hard decisions, that can be in a room with majority men in a meeting room, that has a voice, that is okay with having a voice. I like to be also in a position where young women are looking at me and my husband together as a team, as a man respecting his wife in this role. Like, I think it's really cool that the women on our team get to see that on a daily basis.
Tim and Tiff are similar, but they're also very different, and they complement each other perfectly.
Here again is UCF forward Mia Asenjo.
I mean, Tim, he's awesome. He just brings very good energy to the field. I mean, he's like one of my favorite people to be around, honestly. He makes me laugh every single day. He's very insightful. I think he's one of the most knowledgeable coaches I have been around, and you can count on Tim to make sure that you're getting better. And any questions you have, he usually has an answer for it. Tiff is the coach that I dreamed of since I was a little girl, to be guiding me, to be helping me in the next phases of my life here at UCF and outside. She's a very motherly figure. She cares for you. She puts you first. She's very selfless, but she's also fiery, which is my favorite thing about her. Competing is not just physical. Competing is mental, and that's something that Tiff has taught me through her actions and through her words. And she knows how to compete mentally. We were in a little rondo possession game, and she was defending in the middle, trying to get out, and one of the players was trying to make a pass, but the ball ended up hitting her foot weird and came up and hit Tiff straight in the face and her nose. And we were all we all had our hands on our mouth, are you okay? She was planking on the ground, with her hands beside her, and her face was facing downward. I asked her again, I go, Tiff, are you good? She hops up quick, she wipes her face and she goes, I'm good. And then she goes, play, let's go. And so we start passing, and we're all laughing, but also not laughing, because we're kind of scared if we laugh, if she's gonna get mad. But I was like, dude, she's tough. She is a G. She knows how to compete. That's when something knocks you down or when something's in your way, get up and keep going.
When I asked Tiff and Tim about their favorite moments on the soccer pitch, UCF's big victory stood out, but not for the reason you may think.
I could cry watching them celebrate, because you just know how hard they've been working, right? Intimately what each individual has been putting in, and then what as a team they've gone through, highs and lows of that. And so to all of it to come to this culmination of them just winning and getting to where they want to go and celebrating, I mean, that is the ultimate for a coach, or at least for us. Just watching them celebrate is just the best thing.
It's funny you said that because I'm just now having an epiphany sitting here in your office and facing this way, because I can tell that's important to you because they're the only photos you really have up in the office here of the team celebrating.
I have to say, though, when we beat UNC, that was like an awesome moment. That was that celebration right there. Everyone just went nuts. And a lot of people like stay calm, like it's like you don't have to act like you just won a national championship. But I was like, well, let's just go for it.
They make the team part of their family, and the entire family is part of the Knights soccer squad, including the 2 Sahaydak daughters.
Yeah, I mean, I have memories of, asking our managers not only to take stats during practice and record, goals and assists, but they were carrying Layla around in a baby Bjorn.
Layla and sister Evie are now teenagers.
They have great role models of our UCF student athletes that they're around every day. Like they're around this environment, positive environment, young women, strong and empowered.
We have a Christmas party at the end of season in December, which is hosted at Tim and Tiff's house. So you get to see them in their own environment at home, and their home is beautiful and their family is beautiful, and being a part of that, it doesn't make you feel like you're just their player. It makes you feel like you're like one of their daughters, the way that they treat you.
This soccer life with her husband has been a complete turnaround for Tiff. Earlier, she said soccer was all about how she could be the best.
Like it was all about me and how hard I was going to work and what I was going to do. So I didn't know that I could be satisfied after the playing career was over. So I'm so thankful because, the way that coaching ended up being our career and our lives, it's not selfish at all for us. And it's shifted to what soccer has really taught me. First was about like my own character and how to push, but what it's taught me was it's all about others. Now I'm looking back at soccer and the career, it's just shifted to using it for other people now.
I can proudly 100% say that every single day I feel like I get 1% better, whether that's as a player, a person, a teammate, a friend, whatever the case may be. I feel like they're such inspirational people, and through their action and through their word, that we all choose to adopt it because they're very successful and they're amazing people to be around, and so we all aspire to be like them.
The Sahaydak Soccer Journey was produced and written by Whitney Sheffield and Cleon Wall. Music and post-production by Kevin West. Our voice actors were Colin Ayund and Kayla Kiesel. Make sure you watch BYUtv's Big Stories by logging on to BYUSN.com. Big Stories is a production of BYU Radio.